Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Leafy Green Girl sprouting tray video. So you are here likely because you borrowed one of the sprouting trays and now you need to know, how do I actually get started with this? So let's hop right into it. You received two of these green bases, and this is where water will go eventually. We'll talk about that in a moment. And you also receive the white sprouting tray as well as a silicone mat. Now this silicone mat is because the lettuce seeds are too small and they would fall through the larger perforations. If you were sprouting something like sunflower seeds, this would not be a problem. You would not need this mat at all. You would just directly sow them here. But because we are growing lettuce and lettuce is incredibly small as a seed, you will absolutely need the silicone mat here. Now, one of the first things that you'll need to do is make sure that you have your seeds. So you receive these, oh, they're trying to get away from me. You received your lettuce seeds in either a little bag or small cup, and you can use a spoon to put them on the mat. You could actually shake the top out yourself this way, or you could do what I do, which is putting them between my fingers and just gently placing them all along the mat. Whatever option you choose is up to you. That depends on your dexterity and what feels good to you. Now, you will not be putting any water into this tray just yet. Why? Because your seeds don't have any roots. And without roots, there's nothing you can do. You do not need to put any water in there. What you will be using this other one for is actually a top. So you will place this on top, and then you will put the entire apparatus in a plastic bag to create sort of a humidity dome. And when you do that, you want to make sure that you leave probably just a small hole about this wide, that much space on the edge for air to get through, because your seeds still need to breathe. Now, if you weren't given two of these, then you were probably given this, a piece of cardboard. Yep, just a cardboard flap, and that is to cover your tray to keep it out of the light, okay? But otherwise, you're going to be using this to cover it up, and then you want to put it somewhere dark. Seeds need two things to germinate. One, they need moisture, and the second thing they need is darkness. Because we're not using soil, we're doing this hydroponically, we have to mimic the conditions that a seed would go through when it is in the dirt. But the really cool thing about hydroponics is you get to see the process of something growing, and you don't have to wait until it sprouts to see what's going on. Now, once you put your seeds on here, each day you'll spray them at least twice with your spray bottle. You receive one of these as well, a much smaller one, but it is the same thing. You're going to spray your seeds gently with water. Please make sure that you do not point the nozzle really close to the seeds, otherwise you'll blow them away. You want to have your nozzle probably about 6 or 8 inches away as you spray the entire tray, and make sure that your seeds are damp. They will change color. If you see them here, they look a little ashy, no big deal, but they're going to turn a brown color. That's how you know that you have them sufficiently covered in enough water for them to be able to sprout. You're going to cover them up, put them in your Ziploc bag, and then put them in a closet or a box or somewhere where it will not have any light. You should probably spray it in the morning when you get up for work and in the evening when you come home. That is enough times to spray it per day. You shouldn't need to spray it more than that. If you're noticing that you do need to spray it more, then please do. But as long as you keep it sprayed twice a day, you should be fine. Within a few days, it'll be ready to go into the light. I'll make sure to include a picture to let you know about how tall your seeds should be before it's time to put them in the light. Something you might notice is air roots, and the air roots would come out of the bottom of this tray. You'll see them, they'll be pretty short and they'll be fuzzy looking. That is not mold of any kind. As long as you don't see gray or black, it is not mold. You're perfectly fine. It's also a good idea to take pictures of your seeds each day, even if it doesn't look like anything's going on, and then zoom the picture in as you look across the seeds. You may see that there's sprouting happening that you couldn't see with the naked eye. You may also get the gift of noticing a Christmas tree pattern coming out of the sides of these seeds as they begin to sprout. And that's actually pretty fun too. If you have a magnifying glass, use that. That's a good time. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. As I said, I usually just go ahead and use my fingers. But the first thing I want to do is make sure that I spray my mat. Now, while I spray my mat, I don't want to be near my seeds. So I'm going to move my seeds away so that I don't get them wet. So I'm just going to go ahead and spray this mat really well. It's okay if you get a little bit too much water, no big deal. Now I'm going to bring my seeds back and I'm going to begin to sprinkle them across my tray. I want to have this sprinkled as evenly as possible without double layering. You do not want too many seeds in one space. If you notice that you have too many in one space, don't worry. Once they sprout, you can move them. But for now, do your best to sprinkle them as evenly as possible. You will get better at this over time. If you're allowing children to do it, just have them use a little bit of seeds at a time. Instead of maybe this amount, maybe just 2 fingertips worth would be better so that they have more control over where they place the seeds. If some get on the side, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. When those sprout, you can also move them on the mat and then they will continue on their journey. The other cool thing to remember is that you can begin tasting your lettuce when it first begins to sprout. You can just pull one just to taste and see what they'll taste like. Since you're using water to sprout yours, you do not have to wash off the roots or anything like that. You can just eat it straight from the tray, no problem. If you start to use nutrient solution like I do, then you'll want to rinse your sprouts and your lettuce before you eat it so that you're not ingesting any of the nutrient solution. Now I'm going to go ahead and spray them, making sure that I do not put the nozzle too close to the tray. And I also broke one of my own rules. I kept this right here while I was spraying. So I'm going to go ahead and move that off to the side so that it doesn't get wet. If you accidentally get your supposed dry seeds wet, what you can do is just put them on a paper towel and allow them to dry, and they won't sprout. As long as they're not kept in the dark, they'll be fine. Now I'm going to zoom in here so that you can see that these have started to change color. They're not the same as when you saw them dry. And you want to make sure that all of the seeds look like this. And that way you know that you have done this correctly. Again, we're not putting any water in the bottom of here. There's some water that's gotten down in there, but it'll dry up. No big deal. Now, when you will be ready to put water in there is the same time that you're going to be ready to put it under the light. Until it goes under the light, you want to continue to spritz it. Once it begins to sprout and is tall, as at least as tall as the lip of this tray, that is when you want to go ahead and start putting water under here if the roots are long enough. If the roots are not long enough to reach into the tray, it's not time for water. Once they get long enough to reach in the tray, you'll put some water in, and then you'll need to test to make sure your roots can reach them. You can pick up the tray just like I'm doing right here, and then put it down, and then look at it again and see if your roots got wet. If they did not get wet, that means that they did not reach the water, and you'll need to add a little more water. If you add water and you see that water is coming up over here, we don't want our seeds, we don't want our sprouts swimming in water. So you'll need to take some water out. If doing that means that your roots can't reach that water before that it will begin flooding, that means your roots aren't long enough. And you're going to need to dump out the bottom of the tray and wait another day or so. And once those roots get longer, they will be ready for water. Once that happens, you're going to put it under the light and you're no longer going to spray the tray with water. Instead, you're going to check a couple of times a day to make sure that there's enough water in the reservoir here. You'll also no longer be using this, so you can double it up so you don't lose track of my tray and not give it back to me. So you can double that up and keep it together and still just put water in the bottom one. When you put light on this, put the lights as close as possible. There are 3 settings on that light. There's all red light, all blue light, and then red and blue. Put it on the red and blue setting. You'll see a little button in the middle that has 2 arrows in a circle going opposite directions. That's the one that you'll use to pick the red and blue combination light. You can put these lights super close to your seedlings. Even if they were to touch the lettuce, it would not bother them because that is an LED light. It doesn't even get warm, much less hot. So it won't damage those seeds at all. It doesn't have very much power. But you want to make sure that you are getting light from here to here, here, and here. It needs to cover the entire tray. If not, what you'll see is that your seedlings start to tilt because they're trying to get towards the most prominent, brightest light. So make sure that you have the light right above them, very, very close, and you will get some really great even sprouting. Now, I want to show you what the end result will look like. It's this little guy. Now he is in some clay pebbles that I decided to use for this. And this is a lot of fun to do it this way because you can put it into different things. I may do a video, I will do a video on how to do something like this, and I'll show you some other fun pictures on the screen to see some cute stuff that you can do. But this is lettuce, and you can actually begin tasting it at this stage, even, younger. So I'm going to pull one out. Whoops. And I got a pebble. Actually, I got 3 out. No big deal. So I'm growing in a nutrient solution, so I would not eat this entire thing. Instead, I would rinse these off, or I would just eat the top part. Since you're growing in water, again, you can just pull these out and eat them just like this, or put it on a smoothie, or put it on a sandwich, on some fish. You can use it as a garnish on anything, and also you can use it in a salad. But they are really delicious even at this stage. The other cool thing about them is they're awesome to feel. When you have a full tray like this one, what you will notice is that when the leaves get a bit bigger, not at this stage, but when they get a little bit bigger than this, they have a softness to them. So this can also be a sensory activity to touch these. And the tops of this lettuce will always be cooler than the ambient temperature in the room. That's a cool way to show young people that, we need plants, we need trees because they actually help to cool the earth. Even in a room this size, I can tell the difference between the temperature on the tops of this lettuce versus the temperature in the room. So that is a great way to kind of show that. We even joke around at the office and call this teddy bear lettuce because when it's fully grown, it feels like teddy bear fur, which is actually pretty cool. So also make sure that folks have washed their hands before touching the lettuce because people are going to be eating this. And again, you wouldn't have to wash it otherwise because you're not growing in any soil. And even using the pebbles, I don't have to wash because I've washed these pebbles thoroughly. And if I were to sprout these just in water, there would be no reason for me to have to wash them off at all because I've already thoroughly sanitized these pebbles by actually boiling them for 20 minutes. So they've been totally sanitized and I don't need to wash if I am just using water. So that is really the end for you. You already know what to do with the lights. You already know what to do with these. The last thing I'll say is have your plants under the light for at least 12 hours a day. The light that you were provided with has a 12-hour timer. It has a 3, 9, and 12 hours. Set it on 12 hours, 12 hours of light, 12 hours of darkness to allow the plant to recuperate from its growing all day. That is all. You are set and ready to go. And I just want to remind you that you are loved, loving, lovable, dope, amazing, creative, fun, worthy, worth it, and more than anything else. No matter what you hear, no matter what you see, no matter what you feel, no matter what you fear has happened or will happen, you are unequivocally, without a doubt, enough. Later, nerds.